Okay, the countermeasure process, it is one of my favorite parts because it is one of the most effective parts of a larger executional excellence framework. I'm going to walk you through the three things, the three elements that make up a countermeasure, and I'm going to do so by walking you through an illustrative example. Now, what we're looking at here is not a countermeasure. This is a bowler or a bowling chart, which I covered in another video, but it sets up why it is that a countermeasure needs to be created. So what we have here on the left is a group of metrics. We'll use the first one, ARR. We have somebody who owns that metric, and then we have targets month by month for where we should be for that metric, and then the actuals, green or red. Now, the countermeasure process is a discipline that states in any month that any metric is missed by a certain percentage. So it might not be missed by 1%, but 5% or 10%. We create a countermeasure. It is mandatory that a countermeasure is created by whomever owns that metric. So let's look at what a countermeasure is. And I'll bring this up here. So there are three parts to a great countermeasure, or to a countermeasure to begin with. And that is, the first is a root cause analysis employing the 5 whys. So what you can say is ARR was missed in a particular month. Why did that happen? And the answer might be because we lost our largest client. And then you go further. Why did that happen? Why is that a problem? Well, that happened because our exec sponsor over on the client side was replaced by a cost-cutting executive. Well, why is that a problem? Why did that happen? Well, because we were single-threaded in our executive sponsorship when they left, well, that's why there's a problem. There's nobody else there going to bat for us. But why were we single-threaded? Well, because we didn't effectively expand our footprint of influence after we sold them the account. Well, did you try? Is there something else going on over there? Why did that happen? It's not that we didn't try, not that we tried and failed. It's because we don't have a process whereby we effectively expand our footprint of influence. Aha, that's the root issue here. So first off, the 5 whys and the root analysis are amazing because this happens often. You see something on the surface that looks like it's outside of your control. Why did we miss an ARR? Oh, the client cut our sponsor, our executive sponsor, and they brought in a cost cutter. That's on them. It's, we can blame the client. No. The real issue here is that we don't have a process. And that is within our 4 walls. It's not outside of our 4 walls. This happens so often, and so many other points of value come from the root analysis and the 5 whys. Now, the second part is the plan to mitigate recurrence. Well, how do we make sure that we don't have the single-threaded exec sponsor issue recur? Well, first off, the SVP of Customer Success, who reports into me as the CRO, will present version 1 of a process whereby we expand our footprint of influence, right? That was what we identified here. They're going to present it for approval when? By the end of this month, and it will be implemented by the end of this quarter. Additionally, I as a CRO am proposing by the end of this month a top-to-top executive sponsor program that is additive and supplements number 1 here. And that's a number of execs from each side, from our side, will engage with a number of execs from the other side to build that out. And that might be a part of this process here. It might be separate from it, but I am implementing that. And then lastly, I as a CRO am assigning MBOs or OKRs or some sort of metric to the account directors below the SVP of sales, whereby they're measured on increasing the number of executive level advocates per account, but just within the enterprise accounts. So those 3 things will help us mitigate recurrence. Great. That is the second part of the process. But the third is, well, we missed ARR in the month of February. How do we make sure, what's the plan to make sure we're not carrying that miss the rest of the fiscal year? That's the third part here. The SVP of Customer Success is charging their account team with creating an additional expansion plan in other enterprise accounts to bridge this gap. Separately, I have enlisted the SVP of Sales, who's committed to securing at least 1 additional enterprise account by fiscal end. And if either one of them do that, and I'm expecting both will, we will make up for the gap. So a great countermeasure has the 5 whys, the root cause analysis of what's going on in the problem statement. It has a plan to mitigate the recurrence of that root issue and a plan to make up for whatever gap in that metric. This is a great process. Does it take time and effort? Certainly. Is it as much as you think it will be in terms of the effort and time required? No. Trust me, take one metric that you missed this month, maybe the most important metric, and run through this countermeasure process, and you will see the value. Cheers.